IntelliJ IDEA 2018.1 has improvements to the debugger, particularly to help debug asynchronous applications. A previous version introduced the ability to see async stack traces. So if you hit a breakpoint on code that was running on a different thread, it was possible to see the place this code was launched, giving a bit more context about the state of the system. This is enabled by default. So for comparison, let's turn off the instrumenting agent and see what the stack trace would have looked like without this functionality. There's not much context about what has caused this code to be run. IntelliJ IDEA 2018.1 enhances this functionality by using the async.schedule and async.execute annotations to identify other locations for async stack traces. These annotations are part of the JetBrains Annotations library and can be obtained from Maven Central. In this example, this process method parameter has been annotated with execute, and when the debugger stops on this breakpoint, we can see the async stack trace. Let's use another new feature from 2018.1 to show what this stack trace gives us. The context menu on the stack trace now has an option to copy stack. Let's do this and paste it into a Scratch file. You can see this corresponds to the stack trace in the debug window, including the async stack trace section. Now, if we remove this async annotation and run the debugger again, we can see the standard stack trace, which doesn't give us the full context of where this code was launched from. Next, let's look at debugging exceptional cases. If we have some code that handles exceptions, we may want to throw an exception on purpose to see how the application behaves. There's a new throw exception action in IntelliJ IDEA that lets us do just that. For example, if we want to see what happens when an illegal argument exception is thrown, we can set a breakpoint in the appropriate catch block and then use throw exception. You can find it in the Run menu or by right-clicking in the Frames window. Because this project has both Java and Kotlin code in, I can use either language in this dialog. But if a project is just Java, this choice is not shown. We create the exception to throw here and then carry on debugging. We can see the exception is handled as expected in the correct catch block. Of course, it's possible to assign an appropriate keyboard shortcut to the throw exception action to make it quick and easy to access. The last feature to look at is the ability to show stack trace information on the console. Right-clicking on a breakpoint lets us configure this breakpoint. Clicking on More shows advanced features, including the ability to print the stack trace to the console when this breakpoint is hit. So now, when I debug my application, if I show the console, I can see the breakpoint was reached and the stack trace at that point. So you can see, IntelliJ IDEA 2018.1 has improvements to make it easier to debug applications. Thanks for watching.